Good morning to the Tuesday morning show. It is going to be a hot day, but that's what we feel this time of year. In fact, we're going to be hot the rest of the week. And this weekend, we might cool down just a little bit, but we're still looking pretty hot. But we do start seeing a chance for some rain. We don't see any rain right now on the Tamco Live Doppler radar. It is awfully quiet. Just some radar noise this morning over there towards the KLCH. That's the Lake Charles radar. You can see some birds, if not some bugs, getting active when the sunrise came up this morning. But other than that, it is awfully quiet for pretty much the Lone Star State and a good portion for the Deep South. You can find some showers and thunderstorms pretty much offshore for Florida, and then find some showers up here towards the Central Plains, but a little bit more activity into portions of the East Coast. But pretty active so far in the Deep South. We're going to start seeing that changing this weekend. The only area that is getting rain so far this week is over here towards Florida, and they're going to continue seeing that really the next couple of days. Some areas up to 3, 4, if not up to 5 inches of rain. But we're very dry, especially in our mid to upper levels. So even if we do get that 1% coverage for a shower, it's just going to be a shower. We're so dry in the mid to upper levels, I don't see any thunderstorms at all until at least this weekend. It is very dry in the mid to upper levels, which is unfavorable for any type of shower or thunderstorm activity. And that's why we're pretty dry. Temperatures right now pretty much into the, I would say, north of the I-10 corridor are already into the middle to upper 70s. You can find some low 70s like Cleveland. But other than that, we're already into the upper 70s. In fact, you're already into the low to getting near the mid 80s down there towards the coast. Thanks for sponsor of Silsby Ford. And this brings us to our outdoor and construction forecast. We're actually going to see a lot of areas getting into the upper 90s, in fact, getting close to the 100-degree mark. We'll actually see a couple spots actually get to the 100-degree mark. That's the only thing that we have for outdoor and construction forecast, sponsored by Modern Concrete Material. I'm sure they're very active, especially with everything being very dry. They're getting all their construction needs done because we have a pretty dry week. The only thing that we need to keep in mind is that it is very hot in the afternoon, so definitely take some breaks and stay cool. Now, if you look at the Switch Electric Futurecast, this high pressure is going to continue to keep dominating our region, not only the next couple of days, but really to close out the week. It's not until we get to the end of the weekend, or really the end of the week into the weekend, we see this weakness, which pretty much allows for some moisture to sink in from the East Coast or from the east side. So southwest Louisiana, you can see that 20 to 30% coverage this weekend. For southeast Texas, we're really looking around 20 to possibly maybe up to 30%. I'm just showing that we're introducing the chance for some isolated showers, maybe a couple of isolated storms this weekend, and maybe the coverage gets a little bit better as we get into early next week. So you can see that high pressure sneaks off a little bit more towards the west, and we finally see an area of some low pressure in towards the east. So maybe we get a little bit more active as we get into next week, but right now coverage is still pretty limited. We are pretty hot, pretty dry this rest of the week, and by this weekend we're still going to be hot, but maybe start seeing a little bit better coverage for some isolated showers. This isn't going to be widespread. It isn't going to be an active pattern. We're just showing for the potential for some isolated showers, maybe a couple isolated storms. And as we look at the futurecast for today, you actually try to get some sea breeze, but we're so dry in the mid to upper levels, I just don't see this really happening. Maybe a little bit better coverage over there towards southwest Louisiana, but still, coverage is not just, it's less than 5%. It is going to be a hot day. Clouds, lots of sunshine. We're not going to get that much clouds. You can see the flow is pretty much out of the south-southwest. This is one of the big reasons for the heat index. You get hot temperatures plus that high humidity. It just makes for a really sticky atmosphere out there. So definitely take some breaks. So the majority of the rain we're going to see this week, we're not going to get much of anything. If you do get something this week, it's just a couple isolated showers. Coverage very limited, very low. You can find a half an inch in portions of New Orleans, but a lot of this rain is going to be focused into Florida, up to 4, if not some areas, up to 5 inches of rain. So that's where we're going to see some of the heaviest rain. Tropics look pretty quiet. Nothing going on. Dry air and wind shear keeping tropics on the Gulf side and the Atlantic side pretty quiet, which is good news. We will continue to keep watching this frontal boundary. Sometimes these fronts sneak into the Gulf and offshore on the East Coast, and they try to spin up. But as of right now, there's just so much dry air and wind shear. There's nothing to really watch or monitor. It has been pretty quiet. And if you look over here towards the Eastern Pacific, you still have Hurricane Genevieve. Almost dropped the name there, but this was a Category 5 hurricane yesterday. This is now a Category 4. It is actually getting hit by a little bit of some wind shear. You can kind of see it there. You can see the clouds kind of getting broke up just a little bit on the western side, but actually is tracking into some cooler waters. And this is what this area sees this time of year, is some cooler waters. So it will actually continue to keep weakening, Category 3, Category 2, and by the time we get to Thursday, this will be just a Category 1 hurricane, and then we'll be watching this turn into really a tropical storm by the end of the week into the weekend. So Hawaii, not going to have to worry about this at all. This is going away from land. This is a nice hurricane to watch out in the open waters, and it already is kind of starting its weakening trend as of right now. Biggest story in our neck of the woods, nothing tropical-wise, it's the heat. I mean, some areas can get close, if not up to 100-degree mark, like Katy and Spring, concrete jungle over there, just not enough to keep you into the low to mid-90s. It's going to get hot. Rest of us, we're pretty much looking middle 90s all the way up to near 100 degrees, so heat index 105, some areas up to 111 degrees. Down towards the coast, upper 80s to low 90s, so we are looking at a pretty toasty day, sponsored by Seals Before. Then overnight tonight, still going to be warm and muggy, and so those air conditioners continue to keep working. It's going to be into the middle to upper 70s north of the I-10 corridor, I-10 down towards the coast, upper 70s to low to mid 80s. And here's our 7-day forecast for southeast Texas. It's pretty much hot. That's what we see this time of year. In fact, July and August is our hottest months. So we're pretty much seeing middle to upper 90s, some areas getting to that 100-degree mark. And then we start seeing a little bit better chance for rain this weekend, getting into next week. Still limited, but just showing that we do see a chance for some isolated showers, maybe a couple isolated storms. Coverage is a little bit better towards southwest Louisiana. You get that moisture a little bit quicker, but really you can see that temperatures into the middle to upper 90s, even for southwest Louisiana. That weak front, some cloud cover and a little bit of moisture, we might see the temperatures get down into the low 90s. You might need a jacket getting in the low 90s, right? Yeah, I've seen some Facebook posts talking about how this is going to be a big cold front for southeast Texas. Yeah, there's your big front. You lost a couple degrees. All right. Well, y'all have a good Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in to the Tuesday Morning Show. If you have not yet, please go download the free Gulf Coast Weather Solutions app. It will keep you updated with all the heat advisories that we have going on. And let's say there is a brief little shower. You'll get that update of when that shower is moving in and out. But right now, we are mostly hot and mostly dry the rest of the week. Stay cool. And thanks for tuning in to the Tuesday Morning Show. And thanks again for all of our sponsors. We definitely cannot do this without you guys. So thank you guys so much for everything that you do. Have a good Tuesday. Stay cool. See y'all tomorrow morning.
Gulf Coast Weather Solutions is sponsored by...
We don't know what the weather is going to be like around here. I do get really anxious during storms.
That's why they chose HailGuard. When performance leads, confidence follows. Backed by the first and only asphalt shingle system with a hail warranty.
That just gives us more peace of mind.
This is the only asphalt product on the market that has the manufacturer warranty targeting the hail damage, and it gives me a lot of confidence as a contractor.
Engineered for enhanced impact performance. Built to protect homes and reputations. HailGuard shingles. Built for hail.